This is probably one of my favorite lendouts this year. This is the 2025 Zeekr X in the base model rear-wheel drive trim. And this, honestly, is one of the most refined electric vehicles we've tried so far. So what exactly does it have to offer? Well, let's find out in this video. And let's start off with the styling cues. Now, from afar, you might mistake this for something along the likes of the Liong Co. 02, or maybe even a Volvo EX30. And that's for good reason. That's because all these three vehicles are literally the exact same vehicles, only at slightly different price points. This Zeekr X right here retails for 2.6 million pesos, but after discounts, it can be around 2.2 million pesos. The Volvo EX30 at around 2.35, and the Liong Co. 02 at 1.8. Now, despite the relatively affordable price tag, this vehicle offers excellent things and features all around. Now, from the exterior, you'll see that it has these daytime running lights, which are kind of like fang-like in appearance. You have your headlights by the bottom right here. It looks really sharp. Even the hood has a lot of nice lines on it. On the side, for this rear-wheel drive model, you have 19-inch rims wrapped in a set of Continental tires. I also like the two-tone look that it gives you. So your entire roof, that is blacked out, and it is also a glass roof. It even has SPF protection to make sure that it never ever gets hot inside. The wing mirrors have a lot of cameras over here. There's even a repeater by the bottom, and it is also frameless, which makes it look even more modern. Now, what's quite interesting about the side of the Zeekr X are the door handles. In a lot of modern vehicles, you have pop-out door handles, but for this one, they drop down. And how do you lock and unlock the vehicle? Well, you have this key card right here. It's very similar to what you would get with Teslas, for example, and you simply tap it here by the B pillar. And as you can see, the door handles will go back up. If you unlock it, it shall also just pop back down. It's a very nice design. Also here at the B pillar, yeah, it has a lot of sounds. You're gonna be playing a lot of sounds here. Also by the same B pillar where you tap your key card, there's even an extra round screen right there, which gives you information such as how long it will take for you to get a full charge. Now, as you get on over towards the rear of the Zeekr X, you'll notice that it isn't exactly a huge vehicle. For context, this is about slightly larger compared to a Geely Coolray. Here you will find your charging port, which has Type 2 AC and up to 11 kilowatts, and also a fast charging DC, which can take up to 150 kilowatts. What about ground clearance? You're looking at 195 millimeters, so not exactly the best, but still is more than enough for our Manila roads. From the rear, the Zeekr X looks incredibly unique. I think the closest car that I can think of that would look kind of similar to this would be the Cupras from Europe, not the Supra, the Cupras. And I like how there's a lot of these very unique creases and lines that you get here, so it's unlike any other tailgate I've seen so far. The Zeekr logo too, it gives you a 3D effect, and also the light bar here at the back, it has so much colors and can even give you a light show. So to open up this tailgate, it's quite simple. There's a small button right under the Zeekr logo, and then despite being a pretty tiny and light tailgate, it still is powered because it's supposedly a premium brand. In here, space isn't exactly the best, especially with this tonneau cover. Remove that, you do expand your space a lot. Need a little bit more space, those rear seats can fold down 60/40, and this false floor gives you even more space. But just in case space is still not enough for you, well, don't worry, it is an electric vehicle with no engine up front. So what you have here is a frunk, and you can't really fit a lot of items in there, but if you want to keep some important documents, this will work perfectly fine. Now, while we're here, in the front of the vehicle, let's talk about its powertrain. So what you have is a rear-wheel drive setup from a 66 kilowatt-hour battery, giving you 272 horsepower and 343 newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 in a very impressive 5.6 seconds, but honestly, it feels much faster than that. Go for the all-wheel drive variant of this vehicle, and you're looking at 3.8 seconds. But what about range? Range is honestly pretty good too. Zeekr claims 445 kilometers on a single charge. Based on our actual tests here in Manila, in a combination of city and highway, we're looking at 393 kilometers. That totally isn't bad at all. So now as we move inside the Zeekr X, as usual, we also check the door sound first. That is among the best I've heard in the industry insofar as modern cars go. So the interior of the Zeekr X is also one of the best because every single part of this interior just feels expensive. It feels refined. I mean, you have a lot of soft touch leather or faux leather all around you. The plastics they use for this top part of the dashboard, it slightly feels rubberized and texturized. And even the headliner, they're all Alcantara. Even the sunglasses holder by the top of my head, look at that just feels very high quality. I just really love this interior. You wouldn't expect this interior from a car that costs, I don't know, less than 6 million pesos. It just is a little bit too good. And how do you even start this vehicle? It's quite simple. You take your key card, stick it into this wireless charging pad right here, put the car in drive via this column shifter, and you're good to go. Once that is in drive, you can now take your key away and instead put your phone there to charge it wirelessly, and you drive off. That simple. The steering wheel has this very nice minimalist two-spoke design. You have an 8.8-inch digital instrument cluster and a center 14.6-inch touchscreen with really clear reverse cameras and 360 cam, and it even has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto that almost never fails in so far as connecting goes. There's even a couple of nice gimmicks in here. You can make the car play light shows. You can make the car play multimedia sounds on the outside. There's even a loudspeaker system. Make it play cat sounds, horse sounds, tractor sounds, sports car sounds, bicycle sounds. It really is a pretty fun infotainment screen to play with. Now, my issue with this vehicle would be how inergonomic some things are. So for example, if you want to adjust your side mirror, you do have to go inside the infotainment screen, use these scroll knobs by your steering wheel, which is a little bit of a hassle. And if you want to adjust your air vents, for example, you can't manually do that. You have to once again go inside your infotainment screen, and just like a Tesla, you're gonna move it around. The AC system aside, the rest of the interior is really, really good. I mean, space-wise, cubby-wise, it's all very clever. So huge space, open concept by the center. Even have this like hook right here for a woman's handbag. This one even moves. Huge bottle holders on the side of the doors, and this center cubby even comes with an expandable second cup holder right here. So yeah, you can really put a lot of cups in this vehicle. And again, this center one, that is a wireless charging pad. There's even a clever cubby hidden right there, but unfortunately it does not come with any sort of a glove box. Now, on the side, on the doors, your door release is also electronic, which is a little bit of a gimmick, and the window switches, they are inverted, which gets annoying, but once you do open the window, you'll notice that you have frameless door windows, which make it look excellent. Now, the seats, power adjustable for both the driver and the passenger, and even have a memory function for the driver's side. Upgrade to the all-wheel drive variant, and you even get those vibrating massage-like seats. As mentioned earlier too, the entire roof, that is made out of glass, but because of the SPF protection, there's really no heat coming through this. This is quite excellent. Advanced driver assistance system features wise, you have the whole suite, including an automatic lane change system, which is quite interesting. It can change lanes by itself as long as you're driving between 70 and 130 kilometers per hour. Now for the rear door first. Ooh, really good. Okay, so you might think that this is just some sort of subcompact slash compact SUV, right? But space-wise, it feels much more like a mid-size SUV. Space truly is excellent back here, not just in terms of legroom, but even in terms of headroom. And because there's almost a completely flat floor, seating a third person in here is definitely doable. Probably not for the longest journeys, but for most journeys, you will be fine. The premium materials of the front, they do continue, so everything here is soft touch leather. Again, you do benefit from that really nice glass roof. You have the center armrest with 2 cup holders. There is at least a USB-A port and a C port here at the back. And what's also really nice about this vehicle is the air vents. Remember how I said that this is basically the Volvo EX30? It shows. You see, Volvo has been putting B-pillar air vents in their car since the dawn of time. And it's right here too. It's in the B-pillar. You only usually get that with Volvos or really expensive flagship German luxury cars, but now you have it here too. So now we drive the Zeekr X rear-wheel drive, and driving this truly is a great experience. it is probably one of the most refined vehicles I've driven. And I've driven a lot of Chinese cars, I've driven a lot of European cars. This one definitely feels very European. Now let's start off with its acceleration. So I can actually go into my infotainment screen right here and change the acceleration mode to the sportiest setting. And then let me find a space right here. Okay, let's put the car to a complete stop. And in 3, 2, 1, just gonna floor it. And there you go. Pushes you back to your seat. Rear wheel drive. 5 to 6 seconds? Probably not. Probably like 5 seconds really, or 4.8 even. This car is just a huge, a tiny rocket ship that is just oh so quiet. And the whole time while accelerating, it just is super quiet in here, super, again, refined. It just feels like a great place to be in, whether you are just driving casually or you want to go for a little bit of those fun pulls. But just because it has great acceleration and it's pretty comfortable doesn't mean that it's not a car that corners well, because the suspension inside the Zeekr X is really tuned for a lot of firmness, and it does feel very sporty in here. So taking corners a little bit quick, definitely rear wheel drive is always the way to go. Now if you do upgrade to the all wheel drive, obviously that's going to feel a little bit more flat, but maybe it does take away a little bit of a fun in cornering, but we'll see once we get our hands on that. Now, those aside, the Zeekr X is also such a great car for long distance driving because it is just incredibly quiet in here. I mean, even if you go way over the speed limit, it still is super serene. Wind noise, tire noise are all well subdued. I do have to admit though that when it comes to comfort, like suspension wise, it does get pretty firm in here. So it does well on open roads, it does well at high speeds, but when you're facing things like potholes of Manila City or QC even, it's not exactly the best, and it's a little bit worse if you are the passenger. And the same thing is true for its single pedal driving. It can get a little bit jerky in here, which is again normal for most electric vehicles with the single pedal driving function enabled, but you can easily remedy that just by turning off your single pedal driving mode. Steering is also really great here because there's 3 modes. There is the comfort mode, the normal mode, and the sport mode. And in comfort mode, it is ridiculously light. It's probably one of the lightest steering wheels, even so far as these modern EVs are concerned. Normal is very normal. It's a little bit on the light side, and sport is great for sporty driving because it does give it sufficient weight. And while feedback isn't the best, I would say there is enough feedback and enough directness to make you feel like, well, you're safe. It gives this feeling of reassurance, especially at high speeds. Finally, I want to talk about the advanced driver assistance system functions in here. So aside from the entire suite, which includes adaptive cruise control, as I've said, it does come with an auto lane change function. And it is pretty interesting because it will actually change lanes for you, but it will do it really slowly. So it will only do it if it's safe, but sometimes, even though there's no car behind you, since it does it ever so slowly, by the time it actually starts changing lanes, well, there is now a car right there. So yes, while it is pretty impressive, I would say it's a little bit of a gimmick, and changing lanes by yourself is still always the way to go. However, the most interesting part about its ADAS system would be the heads-up display. Now, in a lot of cars nowadays, you have heads-up displays, and they're all well and good, but one big issue I have with most heads-up displays is that they're a little bit too low, and since I like to set my seat height usually to the highest, even in sedans or crossover SUVs, I find that it does not go high enough. But with the Zeekr X, you can really configure it to be really high, so I can actually see the heads-up display. And this only works for Android devices. If you have Android Auto enabled, doesn't work for Apple devices. There's even an augmented reality, so you're gonna see like arrows pop up in your heads-up display. So it kind of feels like you're playing a Need for Speed game or a Maximum Tune game. It really is amazing. It brings me back to my childhood. And I guess that is the whole point of a Zeekr, because Zeekr is said to be a combination of Gen Z and geek. So geeky, nerdy Gen Zs like me who are into technology really do benefit from a lot of these modern tech. So when you drive a Zeekr, not only is it refined, but you feel like it suits you as a Gen Z, it suits me as a Gen Z. And so that is why, again, I would say that this is are really good vehicles. The Zeekr X truly is a very impressive vehicle. Again, this is probably my favorite lend out so far in 2025. And if you're anyone looking for a compact SUV that's fully electric with excellent amounts of range, great power, amazing levels of refinement and comfort, and if you have around 2.2 million pesos to spend, or if you base it off the SRP at 2.6 million pesos, this truly is an excellent deal and is a car that you should consider.